Hey everybody, Rob from Contigo Ed here to talk to you about Aspiration to Action, Contigo Ed's professional development platform, and more specifically something called College Fit, which is super important. So College Match, if you remember, is really about how a student is eligible to be admitted to a school, typically mostly based on GPA and test score, but College Fit is so much more important because it factors in so many different variables that kids need to decide upon when they are selecting their college. So one we're going to talk about today is financial aid. So first we're going to talk about some terms you need to know about financial aid. Then we're going to talk about U Aspire's college cost calculator and how that can help you compare schools and know exactly what a student's going to pay for college. So the first thing you need to know is cost of attendance means the cost of the school. So if you want to know a school's cost of attendance, you Google their name and then cost of attendance, and they usually break those costs into two types, direct and indirect costs. So direct costs are what I call billable expenses. That's tuition, fees, and room and board. And indirect costs are really estimates about like travel expenses, personal expenses, books, supplies, things like that. So really when I'm comparing college cost, I really focus more on direct costs because that's what you're actually going to get a bill for from the school. Now, when you fill out the FAFSA and CSS profile, you could be eligible for two types of financial aid. So one is need-based aid called grants. You can get those from the federal level, at the state level, wherever you are. You can also get loans in those. You can get scholarships from colleges based on actual talent and could be GPA, test score, athletic, fine arts talent. And then you can get loans from the federal government, which can be good debt. If you hear about a student take out $90,000 to $100,000 in debt for undergrad, that's what I just think is not a great fit for a family. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me just because I think there's a lot of schools that can get you where you want to go for a much more affordable price tag. And that's really the most important part about College Fit is affordability. More than anything, where a kid goes to college has to be affordable for a family. It's the most important factor of deciding where you go to college. So when you're looking at loans, there's really two types. When you get loans from the federal government, they're subsidized and unsubsidized. So the difference is the subsidized loan, the interest on that loan is subsidized by the federal government while the student's in college, so it doesn't accrue interest while they're in. Unsubsidized loans accrue interest a little bit. Rates are usually between 5 and 10%. They'll accrue while a student's in college. Another loan that's eligible through the federal government is called a Parent Plus loan. So essentially a parent co-signs for a student's loan, and those can be helpful. But you need to be careful on Parent Plus loans because there is really no limit to how much a family can take out for a Parent Plus loan. They can take all the way up to the full cost of attendance for a school. And if you're going to a school that costs $80,000, then you can take out a $70,000 to $80,000 loan. So you have to be very careful about the Parent Plus loan. In my opinion, it has to be a last resort for funding a child's education. Okay, so now let's talk about U Aspire's college cost calculator. So once you get your financial aid letters, they come in different shapes, styles, and formats. It's sometimes hard to compare them. And the U Aspire's college cost calculator tool is so helpful in that. So I actually took some financial aids from award letters from students I had in the past, one from Texas State and one from Stephen F. Austin State University. And so I started with Texas State and I put in the tuition and fees and the room and board. Then the next section was talking about free money. So I put in federal grants, state grants, and then I put in the federal loan package. I think it was $3,500 for a subsidized loan, $2,000 for an unsubsidized loan. And then I put in, you have the option of putting in indirect costs, like those estimates for personal expenses and things like that. And then it gives you a cost about what the bill would be after you get the financial aid. Then I did the same thing for Stephen F. Austin State, put in the tuition fees, room and board, free money, loan money, and then you can really compare side by side how much those two schools are going to cost. So that way students and families and practitioners can make informed decisions and give the best advice possible for their students. So again, when a student is talking about College Fit, the most important part of that process is how affordable that school is. I went to a college that can be very expensive. Luckily, I got great financial aid, but a lot of my friends who went to that school said, their parents said, oh, don't worry, it's expensive, but we'll figure it out. And that's a word as a practitioner, or that phrase as a practitioner, that scares me the most, the we'll figure it out, because they typically did for a year and a half, and then they had to come home. So they spent 18 months meeting people, getting into experiences, loving their professors and their classes, and then they had to abruptly leave. So again, when you're figuring out College Fit, affordability is the most important part. So make sure to use the U Aspire College Cost Calculator, talk about Fit a lot, compare schools and their financial aid letters side by side. So that way you and your families and your students can make informed decisions. Good luck.